Elon football is having a storybook season, and one player who has stepped up for the Phoenix is freshman quarterback Davis Cheek. Cheek's journey to Rhodes Stadium began at Butler High School in Matthews, North Carolina, where he got to meet with Phoenix coaches early on in the recruiting process.
It was actually with the old staff that was here, and I remember getting called out of class and going down to the weight room at Butler and walking in, and there was a coach here that was from Elon, and I heard about Elon before, but never, not too much in depth, not like you hear about a UNC or a Duke or anything like that. And I just started talking to the coach, and we developed a good relationship, and they ended up being my first offer.
Give us a look inside that recruiting process. What made Elon the right place for Davis?
For one, like when I visited here, it felt like home. That was the biggest thing. I wanted to go play football somewhere, and a lot of the bigger schools, I wasn't the biggest kid. My sophomore, junior year, I was always a tall, skinny kid. I felt like I had decent football ability. Didn't have a super strong arm, things of that such. I'd get questions all the time asking, what do you think about this school? What do you think about that school? Where would you go across the country? And I was like, of course, like I would go anywhere for it. And then I would just never hear from coaches again. So it was a little weird, a little different, but I was very happy to end up at Elon.
You commit to Elon in May 2016, go out and turn in a 3,000-yard season in your senior year of high school. You win 12 games, make it to the state quarterfinals. Then just weeks before you're supposed to arrive on campus and begin your Phoenix career, former head coach Rich Skrosky resigns. Was there any doubt in your mind about coming here?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that was extremely unexpected. I actually had a meeting with Coach Skrosky probably 2 or 3 weeks before that, and from all that we could really tell that everything was fine, everything was good. I was excited to come in, and then of course when he leaves, you kind of sit there and you're like, well, am I gonna have to leave now? Will the new staff want me? Will I still have a spot here? It is just a bunch of questions that flow around your head, but that's all I knew is that my offer stood, and then I ended up talking to Coach Cignetti, and he seemed to like me, and then I really thought our conversation was very beneficial to getting to know him and him getting to know me. And I think that was a huge part of the last process, the last kind of, okay, I'm still good. Like, I'm still good to go here, and where I felt like home, I'll be able to stay.
On the field in the spring, you were able to go through spring practice, spend that extra time learning Elon's new offense. How valuable was that for you?
It's invaluable. It was amazing. That extra time is kind of like I came in as almost a red shirt, and not even just learning the offense, things like that. I was able to put on a lot of weight. I gained 30 pounds from the time I got here to the time camp started, which was huge. Because you don't want to go in playing at 173 against the guys that are 22 years old. Those are men. So, but it also just being able to figure out the game more, slow it down in your head. I feel like that really gave me an extra edge to be able to come in and compete for that job.
How did that competition with Jalen help make you a better player?
I mean, a competition makes everybody better. It doesn't matter what you do. You always kind of, as a competitor, it's not a thing where you sit there and say you don't want the other person to succeed, because that's the last thing that you want. We spend a bunch of time together. We're in study hall. We haven't had any classes together, but I mean, we're in this building for the majority of the day. So, if anything, it just makes you a lot better.
Your first collegiate game at Toledo, just a few more fans than at your average high school game. Were there jitters playing under the lights against an FBS team loaded with talent like that?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, there's definitely jitters, and it's more of a thing that, for me, it was just I didn't know what to expect. Especially going out there, never really worried about the hype or anything like that. Like, oh, it's Toledo, it's this, oh, it's that. Like any other guys, just. The biggest thing for me in that game was just I tried to play outside of myself. I tried to play, football that wasn't Elon football, that wasn't Davis Cheek football, and that was the biggest thing. So you saw some of the throws were a little bit off when they usually would be. at least a little bit closer than they were. And it was a rough night, but you can't go through football. If you play the game long enough, you're gonna have off nights.
I think the day Elon fans realized what you were capable of and what kind of a player you were was the comeback win at Furman, Coach Cignetti's first win in his tenure at the helm of the Phoenix. What stands out to you in your memory from that day in Greenville?
Definitely the comeback. You go into that place, you get up. I believe it was 21, and they credit to them, they fought back and they clawed their way back and actually took the lead. And then all of a sudden it's kind of like, okay, well, we're going to see what you're made of now. Are you going to sit there and lay down, or are you going to be able to fight back? And that's exactly what we did, and that's been the story of our season. We're not laying down to anybody. And I think the biggest thing is just, I was sitting there thinking in my head, like, if I get the ball back, we're scoring. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We're scoring here. And no matter what, we're going to win this game. And as soon as we got the ball back, you could just kind of feel it. And it's just, the rest is history there.
Since then, the starting job has been yours, and there have been ups and downs. I've noticed you're the first person to point out publicly where you need to improve at times, yet the coaching staff has displayed unwavering trust in you, and for good reason. What does that trust mean to you?
It's the best thing you could have. You don't want to go into a game thinking your coaches don't trust you, and that's probably one of the worst feelings you could have, is if a coach didn't trust you there. But I mean, it's a great thing, because I feel like we really try to put in the effort and put in the time, and I feel like they appreciate the things that I try to do outside of being on the field, and that's a big thing. You always want to have support from the guys that you spend more time with than just about anybody other than your teammates.
The end result of the last 7 games has been an Elon win. You've become a bit of a folk hero here on campus with this fan base. How do you stay focused on Curt Cignetti's one day at a time mentality?
You just take it one day at a time. I mean, I think it was a good thing. Playing at Butler as well, we were exposed to a lot of that attention and things like that. Especially, Butler's a perennial power in North Carolina. And that's kind of like the first test to see if you could really handle it. But then here, I mean, just playing quarterback, I'm just playing football, and my job is to win games, and we've done that so far. So keep up my job.